This is Jonathan Tung, and I am here with professional video game player Justin Wong, aka J Wong. We are shooting this here on the second day of NorCal Regionals, a major video game fighting tournament that's being held every year in Northern California since, I'm sure I forgot what year it was, but let's just get it out of the way. First, how are you doing today, Mr. Wong?
I'm doing pretty good. I qualified for Street Fighter Cross Tekken, Street Fighter 4, and Ultimate Warrior Tekken 3.
And where are you going to be playing for that?
I believe I'll be playing the semifinals today around 3 to 5 p.m. depending on when the rest of the pools will be done.
I see. So let's begin. First off, I'd like to ask you, what was the very first video game you ever actually played?
First video game I ever played that's not a fighting game is obviously probably Mario Brothers for Nintendo. But the first fighting game I ever played was Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting. And
what year was that?
I want to say 1995 or 1994. One of the early 90s years for sure.
And can you currently and what was the first time you ever actually started playing in like actual fighting game tournaments?
To be honest, it was an accident on how that came about. Because I was just playing for fun, playing with my high school friends and seeing who's the best in the high school friends. But then one day, like some of the actual players from the arcade, there's like the people that play there a lot and they travel a lot. They said, "Hey, you should come with me to this local tournament and just see what you can do." So I went and I got 5th place out of like 200 people, and I was like, "Wow, this is very it's exciting." Because usually growing up in Chinatown Fair in the arcade, it was just you only play like the same 10 people, Going to this tournament, I saw so many new faces, and they were so nice, and so many different type of play styles. It makes me want to just kept going after that. And from New York going to New Jersey, and then just traveling around the whole world playing tournaments, I just got hooked from there.
I see. So today you actually competed in several major tournaments, and at one point you actually appeared on the second season of WCG Ultimate Gamer on the Sci-Fi Channel. Can you maybe tell me what was like appearing on that show?
The show was very interesting. They pretty much it was one of those opportunities to just win $100 grand, right, for a video game thing. And I thought I'm pretty good at fighting games, but I'm kind of mediocre in everything else because I don't really play racing games or FPS or sports games. So I was like, hey, why not? It's a chance to be on TV. You don't really kind of just, hey, I want to be on TV one day. You don't get the opportunity to do that. So I did that. And it was very fun because the type of scenarios that they made you do in real life challenges on a video game situation is pretty cool. Like you're a human hockey puck, for example, or for NHL game one week, and you were doing a driving challenge, and I don't know how to drive at all, so that was very interesting for me. But other than that, the experience was fun. I met so many different type of gamers that played different type of fields of genre, and it was just one of those things that you could not pass up opportunity. Any gamer that's kind of known in the world, in the gaming world, would never pass up that opportunity to be on a reality show for video games.
And speaking of which, I've noticed that most of the games featured on that show all happen to be for the Microsoft Xbox 360 console, and they have never even showed any PS3 games. Do you suspect that maybe it's because Microsoft was secretly trying to sponsor that show or something?
Well, I think, I'm a big Xbox fanboy, so I think Xbox is a better system than the PS3. I would always play an Xbox game. The only time I would play a PS3 game is if it was a PS3 exclusive, like Ni no Kuni, for example. I would play that. But other than that, that's not the World Cyber Games, they had a Wii game one of the weeks. So
yeah.
I guess it wasn't really just totally Xbox exclusive. But most most World Cyber Games tournaments, besides the reality show, because they used to hold national and world tournaments, they're either PC based, or if they use console, it would be based on Xbox 360.
I see. Which could also explain why Samsung also tends to sponsor them a lot. But enough about that. Anyway, moving on. Now that we have the next generation of game consoles on the horizon, what do you think about the PlayStation 4 so far?
I don't know anything about PlayStation 4. I think I was out of the country at that time for the announcement, so I didn't tune in to watch a stream or watch any videos. But it's definitely a system that I'm gonna have to buy, just because I think in today's society, everyone's gonna have a PS3 at home or an Xbox home. It's like having a DVD player these days. Like those two systems from Microsoft and Sony, you have to have it at home. Even if you don't use them much, it's just a home decoration item to have.
And are you looking forward to the new Xbox announcement on May 21st?
Yeah, for sure. Because like I said earlier, I was a big Xbox fanboy.
Yeah.
So I always practice on Xbox. I always play games on Xbox. Xbox Live is ridiculous. So I would definitely support whatever Xbox 720. I don't know what it's called, but I would definitely support it.
And you'll support it even if the game console requires you to be always online at all times and won't allow you to use any used games.
See, I didn't know about that, but I still support it. Like I'm gonna have both systems, so whatever the tournaments that I'm into, like support, I have to practice on it because it's different timing for each game. Like this tournament is using PS3, but the tournament last week it was on Xbox, so you kind of have to practice on both.
I see. Now returning to the side about tournaments, what do you think makes a good fighting game if it wants in order for it to qualify as for it to be, shall we say, tournament worthy? For Evo or like NorCal Regionals.
Well, NorCal Regionals are using all the games that's supported by Evo because this is an Evo qualifier. So they have all eight games that's at Evo, like Persona, Street Fighter, Cross Tekken, Marvel, UMC3, Mortal Kombat, Tekken, Smash Brothers, Melee, and I forget what other game.
Well, what do you think makes it more fighter? What makes a good game?
Well, I think in today's society, every fighting game that comes out will always have their chance, even though you don't know how big the community will be or how successful the game launch would be. Like, for example, Level Up Live, that's a streamer group in Southern California. Every time there's a new game launch, they always have a tournament for a launch party. Let's see how well it does. Depending on how many people comes out to that event and how well it does and how much hype it brings to the stream viewers at home, that will determine if the game will come back next week. So, for example, Injustice came out 2 weeks ago, and they had a launch party for Injustice on Wednesday called Wednesday Night Fights at Super Arcade, and it did so well that it came back the week after, and it will definitely probably be here for the rest of the season.
So, what do you think about Injustice overall, personally? Because I know it's a different fighting game, unlike the stuff that NetherRealm Studios has made in the past. Of course, in a way, I have heard some people compare it to the likes of MK versus DC, a similar title which played a lot like Injustice.
Injustice is definitely similar to Mortal Kombat 9, but not at the same time because obviously for most of the games that they made, every fighting game that they made had a block button. So Injustice, they took out the block button, so you have to block with the joystick now, left and right. So it kind of opens up new opportunities where people have to block more, play smarter. But the game in general is already successful just because of they're using DC characters, It's like how Marvel came out. Everyone wants to use Wolverine or Cyclops or Storm, Magneto. And when DC comes out, who doesn't want to use Superman, Batman, and Green Lantern, Joker, those type of stuff. So it's going to be successful regardless if the game is good or not. But in my opinion, I think the game is pretty good, and it's definitely going to stay and probably make it to next year's Evo for sure.
Even more than Skullgirls?
Because Skullgirls is a very good game. I like it a lot. It's very well balanced. It's made by a very amazing person that understands fighting games very well, Mike Z.
Yeah.
But the thing is about the game is that the characters, they have no foundation. Like Batman has been around since like most of us has been born before, right?
Uh-huh.
So everyone knows Batman. Like if I had a kid right now, him growing up would know Batman. So because of those characters' foundation, who doesn't want to play as Batman or as Superman or as any of these villains or any of the superheroes that's in the game? So because of that, it's going to be popular just by default.
So you're saying that, simply to reiterate, you believe that in order to make a fighting game good, it must have a good, decent foundation with likable characters and recognizable stories and that type of stuff?
Yeah, I believe so. That's in the beginning. And you definitely get more numbers based off that. But I think Skullgirls, for example, would have a good foundation if they keep going at it,
I see.
And they raised a lot of money, Lab Zero, for the next Skullgirls patch of new characters, which was amazing. Because I really didn't think that would happen, but it's pretty cool. But seeing if those people that donated will go to the tournaments is a different story. Like
Okay.
Skullgirls tournaments, they tried really hard to support the tournaments by doing like special tournaments, and if you win, you get a special Skullgirls joystick. So a lot of us have those Skullgirl joysticks now because we participate in tournaments and we try really hard to promote it. But it's still really hard because, for example, I think Persona 4 is a very good game, but the numbers are very low because there's no foundation in America.
Despite the fact that the characters are actually quite popular to a niche type of group.
Yes, because in Japan the game is very popular because like they know more of the background story than America. They have Persona 4 anime and they had so many games, but in America you don't really see these cartoons growing up. So you're not gonna know much unless you're really into that type of culture.
I see.
You see Batman and Superman on Channel 11 WB all day every weekend when you're growing up. So you're definitely gonna want to play that character if a game like that comes out.
Okay, now moving on to a different question. Besides winning, what is your goal every time you play fighting games?
Just to have fun, because I didn't. While I was growing up, I didn't grow up saying, "Hey, when I grow up, I want to be a professional fighting game player." It just happened because it's one of my favorite hobbies to do when I was growing up. It just like kept me out of trouble when you're a kid. So I just wanted to just play fighting games for fun, meet new people. It's so fun, interact. It's like one of those things that like no one's ever gonna like retire or give up, because even if you stop playing, you're gonna still want to be involved in the community somehow.
And speaking of which, how have your parents reacted to your game career so far while you were growing up?
I never really told them when I was growing up because Asian families are pretty strict, so they think video games are bad for you.
Something like what most tiger moms will usually believe, right?
Yes.
I see.
That's how they most believe that. Go to school, finish. So I just kind of did both. I went to school. While my free time, I just want to play video games. But since there was no console back in the day, like Xbox or PlayStation 3.
So you usually spend time hanging around arcades, such as Chinatown Fair.
Yeah, Chinatown Fair. So arcades were popular in the 90s and early 2000s. But now once Xbox and PS3 came out, like it kind of just like destroyed the arcades, in my opinion. So, yeah.
Although I am kind of glad that some arcades still exist, such as Golfland right across the street nearby.
There's Arcade UFO in Texas.
And don't forget Round 1 in Los Angeles.
Round 1. There's two. There's another Round 1 that opened up recently in Moreno Valley.
And
Super Arcade. There's and even though China Fair closed down, the previous maintenance guy slash owner opened up a new shop. So the community in New York called Next Level has their own place to play weekly tournaments and just like practice. So even though arcades are dying, like everyone's still trying to make an effort into keeping this alive.
That's good here. Now here's the next. So how have your friends and the gaming community all together has affected you in your video game career life so far?
Well, most of my friends now are all from the gaming community, and they're supportive. We're friends outside the game now, and like I would definitely like trust them with my life because we've been like traveling together, just talking about personal stuff, learning about each other, just like everything like that. So they're definitely they're definitely the people that I just like would do anything for.
I see. What else? That also happened to include players such as Noah the Prodigy and Daigo Imehura, who.
Well, I'm not really close to them, but like I'm talking about like my close friends like Flo, Ricky Ortiz, Noel Brown, P.O. Barog, those type of people. Like I don't know Daigo like well because the language barrier is pretty hard. I don't really know Noah at all. Like, I see him in tournaments and I give him a pound here or there, but most of the people that's involved in the fighting game community kind of know like who are my really close friends are.
I see. Now, how would you? Now, another couple of questions. What do you think makes the fighting games different than casual, non-competitive games? Like maybe Super Mario Brothers or Angry Birds, that type of stuff.
Well, I think fighting games are pretty casual in general. Like it's not as casual as Super Mario Brothers and Angry Birds. Oh yeah, Angry Birds. But I think that like casual, most of the people here that play in the tournaments are still casual players. I think the only type of competitive player are the ones that like are trying to be sponsored or are sponsored. But in terms of like casual gamers, they just they don't travel a lot. You just only see them once a year at their local scene, local community tournaments. But other than that, like even people that go to Evo, 90% are casual gamers. They just want to go to Evo because it's just a gathering of of fighting gamers. You know, it's like saying someone like I like to go to anime conventions, but I'm not like a competitive anime person that goes there. I just enjoy anime. So same thing for like any casual gamer that dabbles with Street Fighter. Like they just want to be part and they just want to see it live.
So would you label yourself as a casual gamer? Or would you label yourself more of a casual hardcore type?
I would say myself, I'm more of like a hardcore type, just because I travel pretty much almost every week for a tournament. For like another player, I would want to say like, let's say now, a Ryu player from New York called Chris Hugh, right?
Yeah.
I would say he's a casual player. He doesn't really travel. He only goes to their local events and just plays there. Doesn't really practice that much, but just wants to just be part of the scene because his friends are there, and he doesn't really travel to like, oh, let me travel to this major tournament here in NorCal Regionals. He's not gonna do that. He's gonna just stay in the scene and just watch the stream and just enjoy his weekly Wednesdays.
And how will you label someone as a hardcore player?
That travels a lot. That goes to many of the EVO qualifiers. That goes to a lot of just major tournaments in general, and even post up videos on YouTube about tutorials or new combo videos.
You mean people like Maximilian?
Well, Maximilian, he's not. I would not say he's hardcore, but he's just doing it because it's like he loves the game, and why not like make a whole YouTube following in general, and also make a good amount of money on the side. It's like one of those things that he's really, really good at. But I know he wants to be more hardcore. Like I talk to him a lot, and he definitely has the potential. But he spends most of his time editing his videos for his subscribers and his followers. So he just wants to help them out and show them like what kind of stuff that he can do. But he's definitely, I want to say, a casual, like mixture of casual / hardcore.
Okay. So, since we're running out of time, do you have any last words to say for our viewers?
Last words, never think about being a professional gamer. Like, just do it. Just play the game because you enjoy it, and if it happens, it happens. Don't think about that.
Yeah. Anyway, well, I appreciate the time appreciate the time talking with you, and I wish you luck at today's semifinals at NorCal, and thanks for appearing in my documentary.
Yeah, no problem.
No problem.